Now we meet with Dr. Yani. With the topic is about current issues in fisheries oceanography. And I'm going to please Dr. Yani, time is yours for presentation about 45 minutes, and then continue with a discussion.
Okay.
So please all participants, we can follow the presentation from Dr. Yani. Time is yours.
Okay. Assalamualaikum. And very good evening. Selamat petang ya. So hari ini our last lecture. So today we are going to talk about the current issues in fisheries oceanography. Okay. Okay, so first thing I'm going to introduce location, the coral triangle. So where is the coral triangle? So coral triangle is a marine area located in the Western Pacific Oceans. Dia termasuk juga dengan Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Timor-Leste and Solomon Islands. So kawasan-kawasan ini merupakan kawasan Coral Triangle. So nama Coral Triangle is because of its staggering number of corals. So ada 600 species yang berbeza coral reef, and this region nurtures 6 of the world's 7 marine turtle species and more than 2,000 species of reef fishes. So the Coral Triangle also supports large populations of commercially important tuna. So fueling a multi-billion-dollar global tuna industries, and over 120 million people live in the Coral Triangle and rely on its coral reef for food, income, and protections from storm. Okay, the Coral Triangle hosts an astonishing amount of marine life. So ada 75% of world species are found here, and ada 600 different species. Over 2,000 different types of reef fish find refuges in these underwater gardens, and this is an important place for tuna to spawn. So whale, dolphin, porpoise, dugongs, and whale shark feed, breed, and migrate in these waters. And the Coral Triangle is home for 6 of the world's 7 species of marine turtles. Okay, apa kepentingan ocean ini kepada manusia? Jadi fisheries support livelihood of about 10 to 12% of the world populations directly and indirectly. So ia juga provide 2.9 billion people with 20% of their animal protein intake. Therefore, with the changing ocean, it could have huge consequences on our society. Jadi kalau ocean ini tiada, dia akan memberi kesan buruk kepada manusia. Okay. So, the oceans around us is changing. Laut itu sangat dynamic dan dia berubah. So, what are the causes of these changes in the oceans, and how these changes affect marine fish stocks and fisheries? Okay. Boleh nak patah balik tadi? Okay, so how this affects the well-being of people. Jadi apa yang berlaku di oceans yang buatkan ocean itu berubah, dan bagaimana perubahan ini akan mempengaruhi marine fish stock and fisheries, dan bagaimana dia akan mempengaruhi juga well-being of people yang duduk di coastal, and then what are the solutions of the problem. Bila temperature menaik, acidity juga meningkat, oksigen akan berkurang. Then tropical oceans are expected to suffer more from climate impact on fish stocks. So country in these regions are also highly dependent on fisheries. Terutamanya di kawasan yang tadi dah, the coral triangle tadi. Okay. So, apa dia carbon dioxide emissions? So, human activities generate greenhouse gases by burning of fossil fuel that contribute to global warming, and that includes the oceans. So, global warming affect the weight that are more in the oceans as well as the biochemical reactions, and one of the consequences of this is that it will lead to a reductions in the amount of oxygen in the water, and also carbon dioxide going into the seawater will make the ocean more acidic. So ada natural occurring gas daripada human started to emitting carbon dioxide starting during the industrial evolutions. So human activity ni termasuk juga transportations dan electricity. So today 30 million tons per year carbon dioxide atau 84% is related to human activity. Dan kesannya carbon dioxide drive climate crisis and also affect the oceans and making them 30% more acidic. So what are the threats? So current levels and method of harvesting fish and other resources are not sustainable. So overfishing, destructive fishing methods, and non-selective fishing gear harm fragile reef and devastate fish and other marine animals populations. Bycatch, oil spills, and microplastics are global threats to marine ecosystem. So a growing populations and the effect of climate change also threaten the coral triangle. So first kali, overfishing. So fishing is an essential source of income. Dia sangat penting untuk income dan juga makanan untuk people that live in the coral triangle. So however, fish are being depleted beyond levels which populations can recover or the reef can sustain. Okay, so since 40 years ago, the world fisheries production rate has declined almost 80% due to overfishing pressure, habitat change, pollutions, and climate change. So scientific evidence has demonstrated that several important fish stocks are already fully exploited and even overexploited. Okay, dah habis, okay, overexploited. So global demand for tuna drives the fishing industry to harvest at unsustainable level and has led to an alarming decline of tuna stocks in the coral triangle. So grouper and snapper are also being depleted as well. So a study conducted by Raja Bidin and Kukasim concluded that mackerel resources, the South China Sea, are already overexploited, evidenced by the declining trends in the catch. So live reef fish have long been traded around Southeast Asia as a luxury food items, but in recent decades, such trade has expanded rapidly. So as much as 50% of reef fish are taken from the water before they had an opportunity to reproduce, sebelum dia dapat reproduce, which has serious consequences on the marine environment. So threats of overexploitations and decreasing recruitments due to degradations and destructions of aquatic habitats help exacerbate these severe problems. So dia lagi mempercepatkan proses overfishing di coral triangle. Okay. So yang kedua, destructive fishing. So destructive fishing methods such as cyanide, poisoning, and dynamite fishing are still widely practiced. Okay, blastings destroy over 200 square feet of coral reef at a time, which leave behind empty craters devoid of life. So the practice devastates reefs and kill animals that live around them. So cyanide needs stun fish without killing them, so they're leaving them unable to move and easy to catch in a net or even by hand. So as a result, fish populations and the local communities whose livelihoods and health depend on the fish are negatively impacted. Untuk bycatch, so every year million of pounds of non-target species are caught in gill nets, on lawn lines and in trawls, and then discarded back into the sea. Okay, so whale, dolphin, shark, seabirds and marine turtles are often accidentally caught and suffer as well. Kan kalau kita tangkap ikan menggunakan trawl atau pukat kan, kadang-kadang kita akan tertangkap sekali dengan whale, sometimes a shark, okay. So ini akan memberi effect, okay. In the coral triangle, the impacts of such bycatch are devastating, particularly to endangered marine turtles, shark and juvenile fish. Dia akan memberi kesan, okay, kepada endangered species. So fishing gear is not selective in what it catches, and there is a lack of management and policy to adequately address the issue. So oil spills, okay, oil spills are harmful to marine birds and mammals as well as fish and shellfish. So oil minyak ini akan destroy the insulating ability of fur-bearing animals, mammals such as sea otters and water repellency of birds' feather, thus exposing these species to harsh elements. So juvenile sea turtles can also become trapped in oil and mistake it for food. So dolphin and whale can inhale oil, which can affect lungs and immune functions and reproductions. Many birds, burung and animals also ingest food or oil when they try to clean themselves, bila dia cuba untuk nak bersihkan diri daripada minyak, which eventually can poison them. So untuk ikan, fish, shellfish and coral may not be exposed immediately sebab minyak itu dia akan berada di atas permukaan. Okay, but can come into contact with oil, dia akan terkena oil itu if it is mixed into the water column. So shellfish can also be exposed in the intertidal zone. So when exposed to oil, adult fish may experience reduced growth, okay, and large livers, changes in heart and respiration rates, fin erosions and reproductions impairment. So fish eggs and larvae can be especially sensitive to little and sublethal impacts. So even when little impacts are not observed, oil can make fish and shellfish unsafe for human to eat. So kalau macam shellfish, kerang-kerangan kan dia food feeder, dia filter food kan. Jadi kalau ada toksik atau apa, jadi dia tidak selamat untuk manusia makan juga, okay? So microplastics, apa itu microplastics? So definition microplastic ini adalah particles yang kecil 5 mm in their longest dimension. Maksudnya saiz dia harus 5 mm. Okay, so dia ada dua jenis, satu primary microplastic. So primary microplastic ni particles that purposely produced to be a smaller size either as a raw material or end product. Seperti resin pellets for general productions of plastic items, and microbeads as abrasive industrial use and personal care product. Okay, for secondary microplastic stems from the disintegrations of larger plastic items. Plastik yang lebih besar tapi dia dah dileraikan, jadi dia secondary microplastic. Such secondary microplastic can be fragments generated through weathering and disintegration processes from plastic already present in the environment. But they can also be microfibers, reliefs from laundry or paint flecking of the bottom of marine structures or vessels. Daripada cat kan, cat dekat boat tu, okay, dia boleh jadi secondary microplastics. So macam mana microplastic ni boleh end up in the oceans? So microplastic, the drains via effluents with wastewater system, river outflows and beach sediments. Jadi lepas itu animals akan consume them or are easily entangled in them. So microplastics are consumed by plankton and then eaten by smaller fish, like the Pacific sardine, which are then eaten by larger fish and humans. So some microplastic floats on the surface, while more dense microplastics, like soda bottles, sink to various ocean depths. So a study by researchers from Netherlands and New Zealand predicts that without proper handling or removal of already accumulated plastic pollutions, the world microplastic problem could double in size by the year of 2050. And Irish researchers found that 70% of deep water fish in the North Atlantic Oceans had eaten particles of microplastic. And meanwhile, a Harvard study estimates 14 million tons of microplastic exist on the whole ocean floor. Okay, so climate change. So with many fish stocks already exploited to their limits, additional stresses could have important repercussions. For example, since most fish species in marine system occur in the water on the Earth's continental shelf, many feed or breed in exactly those shallow marine environments where the future climatic effect on temperature, upwelling, and primary production will be most pronounced. So climate is recognized already as one of the strongest influence on the growth, assemblage, compositions, and abundance of juvenile fish during their residency in estuaries or coastal waters, with consequences for recruitment, productions, and nutrient flux. So, climate change effect on coastal ecosystem. Jadi, effect dia akan berlaku coral bleaching, ocean acidification, sea level rise, toxic algae, and habitat and fishery disruptions. So burning fossil fuels, deforestation, industrial agriculture release carbon dioxide, and other heat trapping gases into our atmosphere, so causing our planet to warm. So the ocean has buffered us from the worst impact of climate change by absorbing more than 90% of this excess heat and about 25% of the carbon dioxide, but at the cost of causing significant harm of marine ecosystem. So not only the ocean warming, but they also absorb more carbon dioxide. So a greenhouse gases that contributes to climate change. So carbon dioxide ini akan dia akan ubah the ocean pH balance, which make it more acidic and toxic to some marine organisms. So ocean acidification. Okay, disebabkan laut menyerap lebihan carbon dioxide when burn fossil fuels to power cars and create electricity, this excess carbon dioxide increase acidity. Dia meningkatkan kadar acidity in our oceans on a global scale. So coastal acidification pula apabila nutrients entering the water from land exhibits acidification in near shore waters. So concentrated nutrients from septic system and fertilizer runs off into our oceans, carrying nitrogen and organic carbon that harm the marine ecosystem. So bila ada carbon dioxide bercampur dengan air, dia akan menyebabkan acidity meningkat. So the ocean absorb carbon dioxide which mixes with water. So carbonate ni kapur, okay? Carbonate used by coral and shellfish to build their hard exteriors become scared when ocean's acidity increases, because many reef animals rely on coral for food and shelter. So changing ocean chemistry can affect the entire coral reef ecosystem. Sebab coral ni diperbuat daripada carbonate, jadi bila kena acid, dia akan terhakis. Okay, jadi dia akan affect the whole coral reef ecosystem. So widespread coral reef bleaching, sea level rise, and seawater acidification endangered marine animals like reef fish and marine turtles negatively impact local livelihoods such as fishing and tourism, and then threaten a critical supply of protein for more than 100 million people. So shellfish and corals are extremely vulnerable, okay? Especially kerang-kerangan dan juga coral, okay? Sangat-sangat vulnerable dengan ocean acidification because it interferes with their ability to form hard skeletons. So reef building corals cannot survive if the water keeps warming. So coral relies on algae living inside them to supply them with food. So these algae, which create a brilliant color of healthy coral, die if the water gets too hot. So the loss of the algae leave the coral with a bleached appearance and leads to starvation. Sebab tu warna dia warna putih. Okay, sebab algae yang duduk dalam coral tu mati. Bila air tu sangat panas, when the water gets too hot. So since early 1990s, global mean sea level has risen about 8 cm. This caused by several factors. Antara puncanya sea level rise adalah daripada Antarctic ice sheet melt, glacier melt, Greenland ice sheet melt, and expansion from ocean warming. So the ice sheet that covers Greenland and holds about 99% of Earth's fresh water. So with the potential to raise sea level dramatically. So warming, the average global temperature dah meningkat by about 1 degree Celsius over the last 150 years. So this is largely because of greenhouse gases being emitted into the atmosphere. So the thermal expansions as the ocean warms in response to climate change, seawater expands and as a result, sea level rise. Okay, selain daripada meningkatnya sea level rise, rising ocean temperature juga boleh menyebabkan toxic outbreak. Okay, so harmful alga bloom can occur when changes in water condition lead to huge growth in the number of a particular species of algae. So the blooms can produce toxins that kill marine life and even turn water into a different color. So researcher has established that one factor that help blooms to spread is a sudden increase in nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus. Sebab apa meningkat? Sebab ada hadirnya nitrogen and phosphorus daripada agricultural fertilizers. So toxin alga bloom ni species can cause, dia boleh membunuh ikan as well as mammal, bird and human illness as toxin move up the food chain. So non-toxic species can cause impacts including loss of shellfish, loss of habitat, seagrass diebacks, hypoxia. Hypoxia tu maksudnya kurang oksigen ya, and altered food web interactions that increase preferred higher trophic species levels. So, jadi climate change. Apa kesan climate change bila SST, sea level, pH, rainfall, ice melting at the pole and change in wind speed and directions. Ini akan menjadikan changes, ada perubahan dalam biology of organism and phenology, spatial distributions, abundance, community structure, trophic interactions and finally fisheries resources. Dan benda ini dia berkait antara satu sama lain. Jadi climate change akan menyebabkan increase in SST and it will affect the distributions and abundance of fish populations. So the most significant impact of elevated temperature on fish populations is the change of their distribution pattern. So seperti yang kelas-kelas sebelum ni kita dah ada explain, fish species dia ada favorable temperature yang dia suka. Jadi jika ada perubahan dalam temperature as small as 1 degree Celsius can have an effect on their geographical distributions. Maksudnya even kalau temperature tu naik, dia akan mengubah distribution bagi ikan pelagik ni. Okay. The range limit may increase or decrease, okay, depending on the heat tolerances of a species. Okay, most tropical marine fish have extensive latitude range capable of further extending the temperature gradient up 3 to 4 degrees. Ikan tropical, ikan yang berada di kawasan kita akan boleh expand dia punya temperature 3 to 4 degrees. Okay, some species akan benefit from shift toward environment condition outside the normal range of variability, but in most conditions, these environment changes will change peak fishing seasons. Maksudnya dia akan mengubah fishing seasons and distribution of prey and prey predators relationship. So therefore, it is important to understand the relationship between fish distribution with environment in order to identify the favorable habitat for fishery stock and management. Okay, case study yang menunjukkan effect of climate change. Okay, Lahode on the skipjack tuna in Western Pacific Ocean using the IPCC AR4 scenario showed a positive impact from rising SST due to climate change. Dia menunjukkan ikan skipjack tuna ni menunjukkan positive impact. Okay, biomass and catch of skipjack tuna are predicted to increase. Maksudnya dengan kenaikan temperature, tangkapan ikan tuna juga akan meningkat until 2050s as the feeding and spawning habitat become more suitable for the species. So however, bagaimanapun, after 2060, the fish biomass and fish catch will begin to decrease. Setelah untuk tahun 2060, dia predict tangkapan ikan untuk skipjack tuna ni akan berkurang, begin to decrease due to the formations of the hot pool resulting from constant global warming, which causes the area to be less suitable for feeding and spawning. Dan lagi satu yang menunjukkan negative impact. Okay, at the end of the century, RCP scenario projected SST rising at 1.8 hingga 3.3. Ini projected ya, dia dijangka kenaikan suhu akan berlaku 1.8 hingga 3.3. Okay, so a study by Kamaruzaman showed that increased temperature pada 1.8 akan menyebabkan high potential catch untuk ikan mackerel di Malaysia. Tapi apabila kenaikan suhu pada 2.6 dan 3.3 should decrease in potential catch. Bila kenaikan suhu jadi 2.6 atau 3.3, tangkapan ini akan berkurang. So then most of the future fishing ground area were projected to decline and it was observed to shift outside the EEZ of South China Sea. Okay, untuk ikan, these changes in the oceans already affecting fish stocks and fisheries all around the world. So fisheries nowadays are catching more warm water species compared to a few decades ago, and these changes is because of the warmer oceans in the last few decades. Sebab, okay, fish dia ada ability to change their behavior in response to change in the environment. So one of the fish response temperature change is migration. Sebab ikan ini boleh berenang, jadi dia boleh berhijrah. So the hijrah for food can also change the habitat of the pelagic fish. So as a migratory species, pelagic species have the ability untuk adapt quickly to the environment and are expected to grow in line with climate change, although they have the tendency to change migration patterns according to feeding and spawning areas. So reducing fishing pressure is one of the best approaches in increasing the capacity of fish stock in order to face the impact of climate change. So, apa potential solution? Bagaimana menyelesaikan masalah ini? So, in global scale, okay, the most effective ways to deal with these challenges is to reduce our carbon dioxide emission. Jadi, kurangkan pembakaran fossil fuel. And then juga kita perlu ubah our lifestyle to more sustainable way so that we can also help reduce the overall carbon footprint of our life. Okay, dari local scale, kita perlu protect and restore our coastal vegetations. Kita juga perlu eliminate overfishing, and we also need to mitigate pollutions. So by doing these potential solutions, we can improve the overall status of the ecosystem and fish stocks. So this will add capacities of fish stocks and marine ecosystem to adapt and respond to the changing oceans. So the oceans is indispensable for our planet and society. So effort to reduce these capture stresses are crucial, sangat penting in addressing these issues related to the sustainability of tropical marine fishes and ecosystem by taking into the account the impact of climate change as one of the anthropogenic components. So thank you. Itu saja untuk hari ini.
Okay, thank you very much to Dr. Yeni for the interesting topic and also interesting presentation. Terima kasih, silakan we can continue to discuss. I'm sorry, I forget to introduce myself. Yeah, my name is Muhammad Khadafi. I'm a junior lecturer.
Same with me.
Yes, in Faculty of Fisheries and Marine Science.
Okay.
And now saya ingin mengundang teman-teman, invite all participants to untuk bertanya ya, give question to Dr. Yeni. You can write in chat box, or you can raise hand and then speak up, open mic and speak up to give the question. In the presentation, there are several problems in, especially in coral reef.
Yeah.
And caused by several human activity. I think it is important to for us to understand, and it is important about because it is the one and most aspect for our future. I think it is to prevent the negative effect
of climate change. Yeah.
Of climate change related to ocean. Dr. Yani sudah mempresentasikan ya terkait dengan masalah-masalah di dampak dari polusi ya, in form of dalam bentuk macam-macam tadi ya. There are several destructive gas and then oil spill, microplastic, and pollution from carbon dioxide. Yes. And then in the end of presentation, Dr. Yani give us the solutions. And how about the contribution of the scientists or like campus or lecturer or also student to prevent the destruction of coral reef or pollution.
So I think for scientists, we already make a lot of predictions of what going to happen in maybe 2050 or 2060, right? So when the scientists already come up with what we call it predictions apa yang akan berlaku, jadi we should take mitigation solutions. Contohnya we have to create more awareness dengan untuk orang-orang dan pelajar-pelajar supaya mengurangkan kadar berlakunya atau melambatkan proses climate change. It's already happening so fast and we need to stop slowly, and we need to take the action now, or else what predicted by the scientists will happen eventually. So, and when that happen, it's going to be too late. Yeah. So jadi bila ikan nanti dah tiada, so when the fish die, the ocean will die, and then we die.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That so what the I think we should. Ismi dan Sianova raise hand, and please open mic and speak up. Ismi, where is?
Boleh chat.
He raised her hand and yeah, we're still waiting for Ismi, yeah, to speak, and then give the question. So what we could do something by a local action, maybe for student. Maybe Dr. Yani have something advice for student, maybe campaign or something like that for local people, maybe. Like
for students or for local, let's say for example, I live in Terengganu, right? So in Terengganu, we live near the oceans, just very near to the coast and the beach. So every day ada ramai turis datang dan duduk di tepi pantai kan, and they bring a lot of garbage, sampah banyak, plastik banyak. So it's very important for us to keep the beach clean, sebab bila plastik banyak, when the plastic is so much on the beach, satu, turtles akan hilang, dia tak akan naik bertelur di beach, right? And then it will scare the animals, and then it will end up in the ocean. So it is important to keep your island clean, to keep your beach clean. If you come to the beach for picnic, take your garbage with you. Just monitor, reduce your plastics, recycle your plastic, and reuse. Use, instead of using plastics, bring your own Tupperware, your bekas makanan sendiri. We must take action now by reducing our garbage and plastics in the oceans, because it will end up back to us. Right?
Yes, but it's difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult
to start a new maybe
lifestyle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to reduce plastic
Yeah.
Yes.
But somehow students maybe can start now.
Ya, berarti nanti para mahasiswa harus, atau kita semua ya, all of
Ya,
us,
kita semua ya, all of us.
untuk
Should
membiasakan
reduce,
diri
yeah.
ya, membawa, kalau kita pergi belanja ya, if we
bring your
go to,
own bag.
if we go to buy something to more like or supermarket, we can bring own bag. Kita bisa bawa wadah sendiri gitu ya.
Yeah.
Saya dulu mempraktekkan ini sebetulnya waktu mahasiswa ya. Mahasiswa, kalau saya pergi belanja itu saya bawa kantong sendiri.
Ya, di mana?
Saya dulu kuliah di Surabaya di 10 November Institute of Technology. Saya bawa, biasanya kita the bag from dari kain atau dari sesuatu ya, anyaman ya.
Iya.
Nah, itu kita bisa pakai untuk kalau kita malu kita bisa lipat dan masukkan ke dalam kantong gitu ya.
Iya.
Dan itu kebiasaan bagus ya, mungkin mahasiswa bisa memulai ya.
Yeah. Di Malaysia jika di belanja, and then you don't bring your own bag, your own shopping bag, you have to pay 20 cents for the plastic.
Oh.
So you have to pay for the plastic if you don't bring your own bag. Yeah, in Malaysia. Yeah. So it's one of the ways to reduce plastic, you know. So if you forgot to bring your bag, you will be charged 20 cents. Something like
20 sen,
20 sen.
20 sen itu berapa rupiah itu?
Sikit tapi you end up paying for the plastic, you know. So I don't want to pay.
But in our place same, but we just pay 200 rupiah.
Yeah.
Very
maybe
cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe the same. So the counter will usually ask, do you want plastic bag? But you don't want plastic bag. So if you want plastic bag, we will charge you 20 cents. Something like that.
But I think the common what is it? Alasan ya, alasan itu tidak mau repot biasanya. Tidak mau repot, kemudian susah ya bawa-bawa dan sebagainya. Tapi it could be to try ya, maybe for us. I think untuk permulaan mungkin harus dipaksa ya, terpaksa tidak apa-apa ya. Tapi nanti akan menjadi terbiasa.
Iya.
Ya, that's for waste ya, untuk waste. Sampah plastik. How about the others like what is it?
Burning fossil fuels.
Yes. Yes.
We can, because macet tu usually warming more the environment. So reduce, you maybe can kurangkan penggunaan kereta and also aircon, kurangkan penggunaan aircon, AC,
air condition.
Air condition, yeah. And then you can what else can we do?
We can change to another AC maybe.
Yeah.
Angin jendela.
Ada kipas ya. Kurangkan ya.
Open the window and.
Yeah, open the window and and then something like that. And then reduce your carbon footprint. Yeah. And then don't deforestation. Stop deforestation. Okay, hutan itu akan menyejukkan bumi. Jadi jangan forestation, jangan tebang pokok lah. Okay. So in Malaysia also the same problem. We have a problem with deforestation. Yeah, especially in Borneo. Yeah, yeah, pokok bakau ditebang habis for politician greed. So we need to stop that. Yeah, because the forest is very important for our oxygen levels to reduce the warming, because the effect will it will affect the oceans as the ocean takes up the carbon dioxide, you know. Yeah.
Okay, we still waiting the question from participant. Ya, kita masih menunggu. Silahkan kalau ada pertanyaan, tidak masalah menggunakan bahasa Indonesia.
Boleh.
Asal jangan bahasa Jawa. Ya,
No.
Miss Yani, Dokter Yani nggak paham untuk bahasa Jawa. Silahkan. Ismi tadi mana? Kok menghilang?
Hilang. No connection.
Oh, maybe.
Connection loss.
Connection loss. Ya, tadi sudah dibahas masalah sampah ya. The local action yang bisa kita lakukan itu, kemudian mengurangi polusi, maybe you could, walking.
Yeah. Start walking.
Or ride the bicycle, using bicycle.
Yeah, bicycle. Usually in European country, they walk and they use bicycles to reduce the carbon emissions.
Yeah.
Yes, waktu saya belajar di UK juga saya jalan kaki. I walk a lot. Yeah.
Because not hot.
Yeah, because definitely not hot. In Malaysia, so hot. So hot, I cannot walk.
Oke. Ya, silahkan. Ini ada siapa ini? Tadi untuk mengurangi gas buang ya, bisa dengan local action-nya bisa lebih sering menggunakan sepeda. Oke, Maulana, please.
Good afternoon, Dr. Yeni. Thank you. I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said earlier, when the climate change ongoing, the positive effect is tuna catch
meningkat, ya.
Yeah, increase ya.
Yeah, increase.
So, how do we optimize fishing when the climate change ongoing like that lah? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, jadi there are studies that showed positive impact kan. Contohnya macam tadi tuna akan meningkat by 2050 when the temperature increase. So it is because dia punya toleransi terhadap temperature tu tinggi. So mungkin the temperature range when the SST increase is suitable for the fish. That's why the biomass increase. But as the temperature get increase, the more increase, elevated temperature, the fish will no longer able to adapt. Dia tak boleh dah nak toleransi terhadap temperature itu akan optimum, dah tak boleh tolerate. Tapi because of fish boleh berenang, fish boleh migrate, so they can change, dia boleh migrate pergi dekat kawasan yang lebih sesuai dengan temperature dia. That's why untuk ikan yang berada di tropical countries macam di Malaysia, di Filipina, di Indonesia, probably ikan yang ada sekarang akan berenang ke kawasan yang lebih sejuk. So there will be no longer fish as as temperature increase. Sebab bila kita dah panas, dia jadi panas-panas lagi, ikan dah tak boleh tolerate. Okay, so they will migrate. So there will be more fish in the polar region, dekat atas, kat kawasan yang sejuk. Yeah, so dia akan ada positive impact, dia akan negative impact. But as the temperature increase, it will no longer can tolerate with the changes. Tapi untuk contohnya macam coral dan juga kerang-kerangan, ketam, since they cannot swim, dia tak boleh bergerak, jadi efek dia akan lebih teruk. Okay, macam coral akan bleaching because of acidity. Sebab coral tak boleh berenang. Kalau ikan masih boleh berenang dan mencari kawasan yang sesuai dengan temperature dia. Tapi kalau coral akan mati. Bila coral mati, ikan juga tak ada. Okay, yeah. So we need to stop.
Ya, artinya ini lebih banyak negatif impact ya?
Ya, lebih banyak negatif. There will be positive impact, but as the temperature increase, it will be negative.
Nah, sekarang kaidahnya gimana? Nah, kaidah mengurangi dampak negatif atau mengambil manfaat.
Yeah.
Nah, kalau kaidah
Let's say
dalam
if there's positive impact, we still need to manage our stocks at sustainable level. Kita perlu sumber tu harus lestari supaya dia tahan lebih lama. Ya. If not, temperature, climate change campur dengan overfishing, campur dengan fishing at not sustainable level, ikan tu akan lebih cepat habis. Stok ikan akan lebih cepat habis. Ya.
Oke, mungkin dari Maulana.
I think enough.
Enough,
Okay,
understand?
enough.
Maulana paham
Yeah,
tak?
understood. Yes, understood.
Paham,
Understand,
paham karena menjelaskan dengan bahasa. Ya, tentu saja kita menggunakan kaidah untuk ini ya, our priority ya, bagaimana prioritas kita untuk yang pertama adalah mengurangi atau menghindari negatif dulu ya, sebelum mengambil manfaat. Kita harus mereduce negatif impact-nya.
Ataupun mungkin begini, certain species akan hilang, tapi dia akan diganti dengan spesies yang lain. It probably will be like that. Ya, contohnya macam ikan yang toleransi terhadap temperature dia kurang, dia akan berenang ke kawasan yang lebih sejuk. Tapi mungkin ada ikan yang akan diganti dengan ikan lain yang boleh adapt to that conditions, jadi dia akan berada di kawasan kita. Something like that, okay? So there are evidence yang menunjukkan ikan yang dulunya tiada, tapi sekarang sudah ada di perairan air. Because of the climate change, yeah, probably.
We can say that it's
Yeah, you can change the spatial distribution.
Sustain or not?
Macam mana?
That condition we can say sustainable or not?
Oh yes, maybe it can sustainable. Maybe if we don't have, let's say we don't no longer have tuna, but we probably have another species that will replace tuna in our oceans, in our coastal, probably, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any question? Again? Kalau tidak ada, kira-kira mau bertanya apa ya? Kalau misal tidak ada pertanyaan nih. Ada dari Morotai ini, ada ini not only from Brawijaya, I think the participant also from other university. Silahkan kalau ada yang mau bertanya. Tadi topiknya menarik ya. Nah sekarang kita sudah tahu ilmunya ya. We know the knowledge about the about apa namanya, kerusakan lingkungan, kerusakan laut ya. Nah sekarang harus juga apa namanya, equal to action gitu ya. Mungkin nanti bisa dilanjut dengan apa, studi lebih lanjut ya, penelitian untuk skripsi, untuk apa, final project maybe for a student, juga untuk kegiatan-kegiatan sosial, maybe social activity or a student community, maybe to create something event, or maybe for cleaning the what is it, untuk membersihkan pantai misalnya, seperti itu, membersihkan pantai, karena banyak sekali pantai kita yang karena sampah itu from home, and then apalagi kalau ada banjir ya, flood ya, banjir musim hujan, rain season, and then sampah-sampah kemudian ya, sampai ke terakhirnya di laut gitu ya. Nah, mungkin ada apa namanya, ide untuk misalnya menyetop ya sampah supaya tidak sampai ke laut ya, tapi kita stop mungkin di sungainya, kita stop dengan nah itu fungsi dari apa namanya, peran dari akademisi di situ ya, termasuk mahasiswa ya di situ, termasuk peran kampus di situ. Kemudian setelah sampai ke laut, apa yang harus dilakukan? Mungkin ada program membersihkan pantai dan lain sebagainya. Itu mungkin bisa dipikirkan ya, bisa dipikirkan oleh mahasiswa. I think the time is enough for us for this class, and then we now in the end of session. Thank you very much for Dr. Yani.
Thank you
for the presentation, for the knowledge for us, and then thank you very much for operator all crew. Terima kasih kepada semuanya peserta. Maybe Dr. Yani apa, ingin menyampaikan sesuatu untuk closing statement barangkali, silakan.
Jadi kita sudah ada 3 kelas, and today will be our last lecture. So tomorrow I have another one, but with a different group. But thank you for listening to me for the past 3 weeks. I don't know whether you understand or not, but I hope somehow whatever that have been shared can benefit all of you in some ways. Semoga ilmu yang diberi akan memberi manfaat walaupun hanya sedikit. Ya, jadi terima kasih. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. And I hope maybe kalau ada rezeki jumpa lagi tahun depan. Tapi mungkin dengan different student ya. Not the same participants ya, because awak nak kena graduate kan.
Yes, hopefully.
Yeah. Jadi thank you very much.
Okay, thank you Dr. Yani for closing statement. And then cukup sekian dari saya. Terima kasih selaku moderator. Saya mohon maaf kalau ada kekurangan dan kata-kata yang salah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum. Bye.
Bye. Maybe we can take picture for the
can. Yes, boleh.
Yeah. Could you
with everyone?
Mr. Maulana, maybe could you capture for all participant, if you kalau ingin menyalakan kamera silakan supaya muncul di YouTube ya.
Oke, Maulana kira ya. 1, 2, 3.
Ya.
Okay, for the slide 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, then slide 2. 1, 2, 3. Okay, enough.
Oke, thank
Oke,
you.
thank you.
Selamat petang.
Selamat petang.
Halo, apa ini? Mana Ninda? Udah ya. Foto bentar ya. Kaira ganti. Kaira.
Apanya yang ganti? Oh, kira yang screenshot. Oke.
Ya. Aduh, pusing aku.
2, 3.
Udah?
Oke.
Sekali lagi dong. Aku yang screenshot.
Oke.
1, 2, 3. Oke, udah.
Makasih guys untuk hari ini.
Kasih juga teman-teman.